Good evening, ladies and gentle toads, and welcome to today's pain party. My name is Ricky T, otherwise known as Protossjr, and I just shit my pants. So, I'm guessing you just saw my intro and you thought, what the fuck was that? Look, I'm trying something new today, okay? So go fuck yourself. All right, we're not playing that game. No, really. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the pursuit of fame and eternal happiness, where most people will often conflate the two together, which is a very interesting thing. And I know that I'm not necessarily removed from this discussion, given that I am, in fact, creating content and uploading stuff to YouTube, and I stream all the time, and I used to be an actor. I did all of that stuff. So I'm guessing I'm no better, really. And all I'm doing is creating a video to kind of cash in on the shit that's going on. But that's not to say that we can't have an informed and good discussion about this, okay? Now, before we go jumping into Norme, and the stuff that's happened with Norme and his attempt to stay awake for 12 days to try to gain some clout. And I'm not going to give you my opinions on this until right at the end. However, history will show that there is a path of destruction that has always followed people who have chased fame. And the question is, why? Why do we chase fame? To me, it seems stupid. Fame for me is secondary. Respect comes first. But I have to say, not everyone sees it that way. Most people who come into the social media space and they start creating content and things like that go straight for money. Okay? What they see is people like, Moist Critical. They see Nux Taku. They see Mudahar. They see Umpaville starting their own companies and their own businesses and doing all of that. And they think, I want to get into that too. I desperately want to get into that too, and there's so much that we can do to make that work. And like, honestly, if you have the drive to do it, go ham. Absolutely go ham. I am not going to be your judge and executioner, okay? It's not going to happen. I am just not as invested as 90% of other people who have decided to do this. But the reason why I wanted to bring it up today is, one, because it's a topical subject, and two, because celebrityism is something that us as a Western culture, and it even extends through to Middle Eastern culture as well, we tend to put celebrity up as like a majorly respected and royal kind of way of looking at the world, and to me that's a bit dumb. That's very dumb. But hey, look, I'm a minority. Clearly, like I clearly have the opinion of a 47-year-old incel. And granted, I actually do have a cat sitting on my lap right now. Look, there's my garbage cat. Oh, look, there's my racing wheel. And there's my dog. Anyway, just like giving too much of myself away there. Oh, well, that's life. Anyway, getting back on topic. Now, if we look at fame and what fame actually is, then I think it'd be good to start with the first documented celebrity. So who exactly is Sarah Bernhardt? Well, that's a good question. Sarah Bernhardt is effectively the first ever celebrity. At least that's what she's accredited with. Now, Sarah Bernhardt's rise to popularity came more of the natural way that actors do it. Signing up to theatre companies, doing shows, doing all that kind of stuff. Only with her, it was like 1866, and the world is a very different place. And women were not allowed to play male characters, and vice versa. And she made an entire career out of playing male characters. So Sarah Bernhardt was so respected and loved and known for her ability to play male characters, which she found to be personally far more entertaining than the female characters, which, to be fair, at that period of time is a very accurate way of portraying the entertainment industry. Now, in 1899, Teresa Rebuck, who wrote a play centered around Bernhardt's performance of the title role in Hamlet, tells the New York Times, Beatrice Lozoya, that the actress was someone who demanded the right to be extraordinary. And playing Hamlet in 1899 wasn't the only time that she had portrayed a male character. Now, that tells me something very, very poignant about Sarah Bernhardt. One, she is someone who fought through tooth and nail to get where she wanted to be. Now, I'm not going to dive through her entire career, but I think this is a very good example as to someone who has been seen after the fact to have succeeded and been amazing and been so beloved that when she died, the streets filled with people to pile roses onto her casket as she was wheeled through to the church where she was finally laid to rest. That is not something that you necessarily see so much these days. And look, there are some beautiful photos of her, or paintings, because this was in 1866, right? So photos aren't necessarily going to be readily available, but paintings we certainly have. And you know, as you've seen, I posted them earlier on when I was talking about Sarah Bernhardt. And honestly, she's someone that we should all be paying a lot of attention to, someone who we should know the history of, but that's a story for another video. And if you guys like it, if you want to know more about her, let me know. Comment in the description, in the comments, and I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I promise. I promise you I will. I am uploading daily, so I will absolutely get there. So Sarah Bernhardt is a really good example of the natural way to go into celebrityism. Work really hard, build yourself a solid reputation, and then move on to the main stage. Now, obviously, I didn't go through her early career. She was active from about 1866 onwards, but there's more to that story that I'm not touching on in this video. However, I need to point out she did this in the safest way possible, in the most respected way possible. But that's changed. It's changed a lot over the last 100 years. These days, people will climb over each other to get where we want to be in the terms of the celebrity status. For example, we seem to idolize people like Kim Kardashian, who made a sex tape to get to fame, and it has done nothing to deserve staying in fame at all over the last 20 years. She's more notorious these days than she is respected, which is fucking weird. And it seems to only be like a small group of people that actually are, when I say small group, it's most of the world, which is fucking weird. She's an example of that, and I'm not throwing any hate on her. What she did is her business. I don't care. I do find it kind of humorous. And then we have a look at someone like IshowSpeed, who is someone who I had very little respect for until about 6 months ago. And I don't love him, I don't hate him. I kind of sit like right in the middle with him now. But as it goes, he's one of the people who have done stupid stunts to try to get to celebrity level, and somewhat succeeded. But let's look at what he did in that time frame. He jumped over a car. He toured Europe. He got his car destroyed in Europe. He got mobbed by people in Europe, and he live streamed the whole thing. Now that tells me that everything he did was in search of fame and happiness. Now let's be honest, this has actually brought him both of those things. He got to see the entire world. He's been around a bit. He's interacted with a lot of people who now feel are now more embedded into his fan base due to him going out to them and not the other way around, which is a very powerful tool. Right? And from what I've seen in the clips that I've seen of him and the streams of his that I've shown, he does a lot to bring people together when he has them. So he tends to show people respect for the most part. Then we have people like, well, I'm not going to mention certain other individuals who I constantly flame on Twitter. We don't need to worry about that. But then we come across to today's major topic and the dangers of chasing fame. Now, Norm, where do we begin? Because the reality of the situation is it's really quite sad, and a part of me really feels as though this poor boy has pushed himself to the limit to try to achieve some kind of fame. And you know, as much as I hate the fact that this is how he's gone about it, he has somewhat achieved it. Everyone's talking about him now. Fuck, I'm making a video about him. So clearly, he's hit the online mainstream media, and that's where we are today. Now, for those of you who don't know who Norm is a YouTube streamer for the most part. He streams kind of like the way I do, except I do more the way of like sim racing, more community engagement, whereas he's more like challenges and things like that. Not to say that he hasn't done more of the community engagement stuff, but most recently, he decided that he was going to go after a world record of staying awake. Now, what that meant is that he was forcing himself to stay awake for something like 264 hours, I must say. 264. Now, that in itself is a terrifying way of going about things. As we know, people staying awake for that period of time are going to have long-term issues. And his audience weren't necessarily with this whole challenge as it was. With some people pointing in, saying, guys, please let him sleep. He's taking a toll on his health. Guys, we need to stop Norm from this challenge, but not by harassing him and his family. Right? This was so stressful, in fact, to not only him, but his entire streaming community, that YouTube ultimately ended up shutting down the stream 12 hours before it was completed and he could potentially take the world record. Now, the things that really started to bother a lot of people when it comes to this wasn't necessarily the fact that he was forcing himself to stay awake for that period of time. What it was more of was the fact that his brother would come into the room and splash water on his face, shake him, stand him up, really force him to stay awake. Now, during this time, Norm had become increasingly more incoherent as the stream was going on. He started to hallucinate, he started to pass out, he was really doing himself some serious damage. And that, for me, is the opposite of what happened to Sarah, who organically went and made her career through hard work and generating characters and earning the respect of her peers in her community. Norm, unfortunately, has decided to go the other route, where he feels as though getting into the headlines is going to promote his career further in the long run than earning the respect in the short term. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's bad for doing what he did. He did what he did, and he's going to have to live with the consequences for it. That's the reality of it. But the question remains, is what he did foolish? Now, we're coming into my opinion on this whole thing. Now, strap yourselves in, because my opinion is going to be divisive in some shape, way, or form, and I think all of you should be aware of the way I'm seeing things, right? Because all of you have your own way of seeing it. Some of you watching this video are going to be looking at this from the perspective of, oh yeah, fuck yeah, go ahead, go and earn that bag, son, and I'm with you. I absolutely agree. Go and earn the bag. But then there's the other camp, and this is the very loud vocal camp, that is saying that what he's done to himself was not worth the 5 minutes of fame that he's going to go through. I personally do not see this being a long-term success model for his stream. I think if you push yourself that way, you burn yourself out and you do nothing but hurt yourself. Now, this video has gone way too long, right? But I have been keeping up with my promise to give a daily video, and I intend to keep doing that with topics that I do personally find interesting. This is one that was sitting on yesterday. I was tossing up whether or not I was going to do the video I did release yesterday, or whether or not it was this one. For me, the price of fame is too heavy for one individual to hold, and the pursuit of happiness is one that we're constantly striving for. Whether you're someone who works in an office, whether you're a retail worker, whether you're a full-blown celebrity, every single person that you meet is going to continue to search for their one thing in life that is going to bring them happiness. Some people that's family, others that's money. In Norm's case, it's notoriety. And I think that's dangerous. But either way, I'm going to end this video because we've been going way too long. If you actually managed to get to this point of the video, leave me a clown mask. Leave me a clown mask in the comments, just so I know the people that have got to this point, because a clown mask is fucking random. And either way, look, I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today. Thank you so much for listening to my rant that ultimately went nowhere. But either way, peace out, take care, and I shall see you tomorrow.